So this is the surface of moon. So we are going to see the video regarding the far side of the moon. So this is surface of the moon. So actually, to understand this far side of the moon, you have to know about this concept called as rotation revolution. So rotation is nothing but moving around itself. Revolution is moving around Earth. So if you know this concept, you can understand what is the far side of moon that is seen in this Chandrayaan-3 mission. Okay, so this is the rotation of the moon and this is the revolution of moon. Actually, here the time required for one rotation is equal to the time required for one full revolution. So this type of rotation is called as synchronous rotation. So because of this synchronous rotation, so we are not going to see the next side. We are only going to see only the one side of the moon. Okay, so this is the concept regarding the far side of moon. So hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod's IAS. Today in this video, we are going to see current affairs of 22nd August 2023. So let's get started. So we are going to see all these topics. The first one, it is regarding Supreme Court to constitute a new bench to hear Kaveri dispute. So here you have to know about what is this new bench. And this topic is important from your polity, and especially this topic is important from your mains. And even you can get a question in your prelims regarding the constitutional provisions. And next topic is about Chandrayaan-3, that is about dark side. So the video I shown in introduction, that is to understand what is dark side of the moon. And next one is Brics, and this topic is important from your international relations. And next one is OTT platforms. So recently Ministry of Education released a report. So you are going to see that report, and this report highlights about smartphone use. And next one, it is about smartphone manufacturing in India. So what is the irony that we are seeing now because of Government of India measures. And next one, it is about deep in disarray. So this article which is talking about a delay in of session, that is Legislative Assembly session in Manipur. So this topic is important from polity. So as I said, we are going to see first newspaper PDF, and in the meanwhile we are going to see the analysis. Okay, so first let us see the newspaper PDF. So this is our today Hindu, and the date here is 22nd August, that you can see. The first topic, it is about no governor's assent, Manipur Assembly session a non-starter. So how can you connect this topic with our UPSC syllabus? So in UPSC, you will be having state legislature. In this state legislature, we will studying about houses like Legislative Assembly, Legislative Council, and as well as the role of governor. So governor is very important. So we can see governor is a representative of center in the state. So whenever there is no session is happened, then what happens? So already you know that in our constitution there is one provision. So what is that provision? So we have to conduct the sessions which should be not more than 6 months. So within 6 months we have to conduct the session. But recently in this Manipur, the last session conducted in March. And if you see by September 2nd, so it is going to complete this 6 months of time. Then what happened? What can we call it as? We can call it as constitutional machinery breakdown. Can we call it as constitutional machinery breakdown? So what happens whenever there is constitutional machinery breakdown in state? There might be imposition of emergency. There might be imposition of emergency. So from this point of view, we have to read this article, and in editorial page also there is one editorial which is explaining about this topic regarding what are the problems faced by this Manipur state now. So first one is communal violence between meaties and cookies, And next one is this, there is delay in this assembly session. And in yesterday's lecture we studied that there is delay in appointment of Chief Justice of Manipur High Court. So that is also one important problem that is seen in this Manipur. So this is about overall this topic. And if you move on to next topic, it is talking about Supreme Court to constitute a new bench to hear Kaveri water issue. So this new bench is also called as tribunal. So please let me know which articles in our constitution talks about this tribunals. So this article is talking about Interstate Water Tribunal. So here we have to see who have the power to come up with this Interstate Water Tribunal and whether Parliament have utilized this power of making laws regarding this interstate water issues or not. If yes, so which are the acts which came up by the government? So all those things that you have to know. So now we are going to see detailed analysis of this topic. So the first topic we are going to discuss, it is about Supreme Court to constitute a new bench to hear Kaveri water issue. So first let us try to understand the present context, why it is in news. So as you know that our Chief Justice of India, so we have judiciary system, that is integrated judiciary system. So we have district courts at the district level, and in every state top court is High Court, and in our country we have apex court, that is Supreme Court. So in Supreme Court we will be having this CJI. So CJI is nothing but Chief Justice of India. So who is the present Chief Justice? That is D.Y. Chandrachud. So now here actually the case went to Supreme Court. Tamil Nadu filed a petition regarding the release of water from this Karnataka to the Tamil Nadu, and it is regarding the river Kaveri. So here Chief Justice of India, he assured Tamil Nadu that we are going to constitute a bench, and this bench, it is going to see the issue regarding this Kaveri water in the next month almost. So this article is talking about the bench of Supreme Court, and they are going to arrange a separate bench to see this issue regarding this Kaveri water issue, that is between state of Karnataka versus Tamil Nadu. And here you have to understand interstate water tribunals. So this is also a very important concept, and you can expect a question from this area. So if you are talking about this constitutional provisions, yes, if you are talking about water sharing or water, so it belongs to both state list and as well as concurrent list, union list. So if you are talking about Schedule 7 of Indian Constitution talks about three important lists. So we have state list, we have concurrent list, we have union list. So the subjects which are present in the state list, the state government have the entire power to make the laws regarding that subjects. In this concurrent list, both state and center have the power, and the union list, subjects which are present in this union list, here only central government, only the central government have the power to make the laws. So here, if you are talking about the entry 17 of state list, it deals with water. That means regarding water supply, you have to make a note. So that is regarding water supply, irrigation and canal drainage, embankments, water storage and hydropower. So all these things which comes under the state list, that means state have the power to make the laws. And here in this entry 56 of union list, so it is giving entire power to central government. So central government can make the laws regarding interstate rivers and even river valleys. Okay, so in this context, here central government have the power to make the laws. And apart from this, even Article 262 of our Constitution, which talks about the disputes between the states regarding the rivers. Okay, and here according to this article 262, the entire power is given to Parliament. So Parliament have the power to make any laws to resolve the dispute between the states regarding the sharing of river water. Okay, that is regarding especially use, distribution, control of waters, okay, which are regarding interstate river or river valley. So Parliament by law can also provide neither Supreme Court nor any other court shall exercise jurisdiction with respect to any such dispute. That means entire power is present with the Parliament according to this article 262 of our Indian Constitution. So this is regarding some constitutional provisions which are talking about this interstate rivers. If you are talking about the mechanism for this interstate river water dispute resolution, so how can we go for resolution of this dispute between the two states? So we have certain mechanism. So this mechanism says in the article 262. So article 262 says that yes, Parliament have the power to make the laws to resolve the issues. We have to see whether our Parliament have been used this power or not. Yes, of course, our Parliament used this power and came up with this enactment of Act, that is River Board Act of 1956. So what is this River Board Act of 1956 talks about? So it empowered our government of India to establish boards regarding interstate water or interstate rivers and river valleys, and they will be constituting or establishing this board with the consultation of state government, that is with the permission of state government. They will be coming up with setting up of this boards. And next one is Interstate Water Dispute Act of 1956. So it is one more act came up by the Parliament. So it is regarding if a particular state or some groups of states, whenever they are approaching the center for the constitution of tribunal, then here central government it is mandatory for the central government to resolve this issue either through consultation or either by creating any tribunal. So this is about this Interstate Water Dispute Act of 1956. And recently in 2002 we came up with this amendment to this Interstate Water Dispute Act, that too in 2002. So with this amendment, now here it made mandatory, that is 1 year time frame to set dispute tribunal. That means if any 2 states or 3 states or more states they approach the central government to resolve this issue, means here now central government need to form the tribunal, and the time frame here is within 1 year. So within 1 year central government need to frame the tribunal, and this tribunal should not take more than 3 years of time to give the decision regarding that dispute. Okay, so this is the recommendation, and this recommendation is given by which committee? That is Sarkaria Commission. So based on this Sarkaria Commission, yes, we came with amendment to this Interstate Water Dispute Act of 1956, and we introduced this time framework. Okay, so this Sarkaria Commission is very important for your prelims and as well as for your mains. And what are the issues with these tribunals? So whenever we are forming any tribunals, yes, obviously we will be having some issues. So those issues are, the first one is the proceedings will be very late. So that we can see there is delay in giving the award. So the first one is delays. And next one is opacity. That means if you are talking about the composition of this tribunal, so mostly we will be having opacity, that will be like there will be no transparency in the membership. And next one is this tribunal composition is also one important issue. It is not multidisciplinary, because most of the times people or persons under these tribunals, they will be like belonging to judiciary. And one more important problem here is there is lack of data regarding the water availability, because sometimes we will be having good monsoons, sometimes we will be not having the good monsoons because of El Nino and La Nina conditions. So if we are having the good amount of rainfall, automatically the water inflow, that is flood water inflow, will be high. And if there is deficit rainfall, means the water will be less. So there is no accurate measurement for the data, okay, data regarding the water availability. So this is also issue, because to give the award, the time which is given to the time framework which is given to the tribunal is around 3 years. So with these 3 years, if there is one time El Nino, one time La Nina, means yes, we do not have the proper water regarding data. So these are the some problems that are seen here. And even sometimes, not sometimes, many times, we can say there is a growing nexus. There is growing nexus between the politics and as well as the water. So because of this, yes, sometimes it may delay, and especially politicians will be using this issue for the vote bank politics. So these are some important issues. So I want to give you one mains question for practice. Already this question appeared in year 2013. The question is constitutional mechanism to resolve the interstate water disputes have failed to address and solve the problems. So it is a failure due to the structural or process inadequacy or both. Discuss. So one statement is given that the question itself is accepting that there is the failure in resolving these interstate water disputes. So question is, this failure it is because of structural or because of process inadequacy. So you have to give some support to arguments regarding the structural failure. That means most of the times judiciary will be the members of this tribunal, and the process is also not being followed because of political nexus, or we can say vote bank politics. We can say because of vote bank politics. So please try to write answer, and answer should not be more than 150 words. Okay, so this is about this topic. And now let us move back to our Hindu paper. So here you can see the interesting article. It is about Chandrayaan-3. The title says Chandrayaan-3 reveals dark side of the moon. So I shown what is a dark side. Dark side is nothing but the south pole. So why in this Chandrayaan-3 we are focusing on this south pole? So actually there is one assumption that already we know that to this Chandrayaan-1, the first mission to study this moon, so it said that yes, there is presence of water on the surface of moon. And now this Chandrayaan-3, which mainly launched to understand yes, where it is present exactly, and to know the composition of the lunar surface. So here in the south pole, now the scientists, they are estimating that the water which is present in a frozen form. Okay, so because of this we are exploring this south pole, and here you have to see even Luna 25 mission. So this Luna 25 mission, it is a failed mission because of crash that happened on the lunar surface. So now let us try to understand this topic in detail. So let us move back to our Hindu paper, that is this part. So this topic is important from your science and technology, which comes under your GS paper 3. You can expect both prelims and mains based question from this topic. And yes, we have to wait till tomorrow, that is till tomorrow after 5:30 p.m. we are going to see whether the soft landing happened or not. So if soft landing is happened, means it is a miracle that I can say, and it's one of the good step that India is moving towards in the space race, new space era. Okay, so if you see context, it says that ahead of scheduled landing of Chandrayaan-3, now the lander which sent some images of this lunar surface, and even these images, they had been released by ISRO. If you see some details, it says that the far side of moon is also known as dark side of the moon. So why it is called as dark side? Because always this part which is hidden from the earth, that means you know this is our earth. For example, let us assume this is as earth and this is moon here. So moon will be revolving around earth. in this way, right? So every time this part is facing towards earth, and this half of the part which is away, this half of the part which is not at all seen from the surface of the earth, and this part which is not seen from the surface of the earth, it is called as dark side, or it is called as far side. Dark side or far side. So why we can't see this dark side? Because the revolution is equal to the rotation. One revolution is equal to the one rotation of the moon. So because of this synchronous rotation, here we can't see the far side of the moon. And one more theory is also there. It is because of tidal locking. That means this will be somewhat interesting. So I will be trying to make the diagrams. Okay, so if you want, you can make a note or you can take the screenshot. So this is our earth. So our earth have the gravitational pull. For example, if here we have the moon, right? So what happened? So because of this gravitational pull of earth, so we can see the tidal force will be formed like this, and the shape of the moon will be becoming like this. And even if you see here we have moon, right? So for moon also it will be having some gravitational force and it want to maintain the structure. So in this way, because of this, here the opposite force will be created in the moon. So because of this, round shape of the moon is maintained. So this type of forces which are acting on the moon, they are called as tidal locking. Okay, so because of this tidal locking, so we can't see the far side of the earth. So far side of the moon from the earth. So we can't see the far side of the moon because of this tidal locking. So here, how can you expect a question? So question that you can see is, recently tidal locking is seen in news. So what it is regarding? So this tidal locking, it is regarding the far side of the moon. So it is regarding Chandrayaan-3 mission. So in this way you can expect a question. Okay, and now let us go back to the newspaper. So here you can see one article. I hope you can see. That is, CJI asks government if it intends to dictate use of judicial review. So I want to give you one homework. That is, what is this judicial review? So whether this judicial review is part of basic structure doctrine or not. So please let me know this topic. And this judicial review is very important. Already number of times the questions already had been asked in your prelims regarding this judicial review. So please be focused on this and I will be waiting for your replies. Okay. And you can leave the city page. There is nothing much important in the city page in this today's newspaper. I found nothing much important. And you can directly move on to the states page. So in the states page also, this article is not at all important. This article is also not at all important, but here you have to see what is this uniform civil code. So actually in India, only Goa state has a uniform civil code. So you have to let me know which article in our constitution talks about this uniform civil code. And if you move forward, so most of the articles are political articles. And here you can see there is one word I saw, that is polygamy. So what is the meaning of polygamy? So polygamy means, for example, if you are talking about marriages, so one person is marrying more than one female is called as polygamy normally. Okay, so here you have to know about what is that polygamy. And here you can see one article which is important. That is, as many as 189 tribal colonies in Kerala still lack internet access. So actually this article says that in Kerala. So if you are talking about literacy rate in Kerala, what is the literacy rate in Kerala? If you compare with the entire states of India, so literacy rate is high in Kerala. But unfortunately the tragedy here is About 189 tribal colonies, they are not having the internet access. But nowadays, after this COVID-19 entered into our lives, so there is increased prominence of internet. Will you accept or not? So there is increased digital transactions, increased online learning, online teaching. So I am also teaching on online, right? Yeah. So here, if they are not having internet access in this present 21st century, I can say there is violation of human rights. That is right to life with liberty. Right? So this is the thing, and you have to see what is the way forward. And even you can see here one important scheme, that is Government of India came up with one scheme, that is optical fiber scheme. So through this optical fiber, government is aiming to provide internet to gram panchayats. So please let me know what is that scheme and some important provisions of that scheme and which ministry is implementing that scheme. So this is your homework. And if you move on, you can directly move on to this editorial page. So the first topic, it is about deep in disarray. So this article which is talking about delay in legislative assembly session in which state? In Manipur. And not only it is talking about delay in assembly sessions, but even what are the problems seen in this state of Manipur. So we are going to see that. And here you can see the Brics test for India's multipolarity rhetoric. So whenever you are selecting editorial, first you have to see who is the author here. So here author is one professor. So whenever any professor who is writing any article means it will be like against government or it is supporting the government. So here this article says that here we have two power blocks. Here we have Western power block, and for example here we have Eastern power block. So Western power block means here we have the countries like US, and the eastern part. Now which country is showing that is a rising power? So we have Russia, and Russia's friend is China, but China is anti-India. So idea of this article, it is regarding Brics. So Brics, it is a grouping which contains who are the members? Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. And we are going to have this Brics meet, right, from today. That is from 22nd August to 24th August we have this Brics summit, and it is the first in-person summit from this 2019, and this summit is going to held in this South Africa, and our Prime Minister is also leaving to this summit. So issue here is, in this summit one key highlight is to expand membership. And 40 other countries they want to join this Brics group. So if you see on another side, here we have other groupings like what? Other groupings like G20, G7, right? So in the most of the other groupings like SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, so most of the time in these groupings also India is part, right? So the controversy here is whether India it is towards western side or towards global south. So this is the question mark, and this is the one dilemma. And in this fault line like western side and global south, on this fault line somewhere India is present. So we have to see whether India is going to balance this or not. So this is the idea of this article, and we are going to see that in detail. And if you move forward, here you can see article, it is about Saudi Arabia and UAE. So this article, it is the relationship between Saudi Arabia and UAE. But here in this context, what you have to read, you have to see about India-Saudi relations and India-UAE relations. So we are not going to bother. So what is happening between the Saudi Arabia and UAE? Okay, so here one homework I want to give you students is, so please open your atlas and see Saudi Arabia map and as well as UAE map, and please let me know which are the countries sharing boundary with Saudi Arabia, and which are the countries sharing boundary with this UAE, and if there are any water bodies present, so please let me know that also. Okay, so now let us see analysis point. So first we are going to discuss this assembly session of Manipur. So what is the issue? So actually what happened? So legislative assembly in Manipur is delayed. Actually these assembly sessions will be conducted based on the advice given by Council of Ministers. So Council of Ministers, which is headed by Chief Minister in the state, will be giving advice to governor, and governor need to prorogue or summon the session. So this is a normal process. But what happened here is, governor, even though, okay, so governor is Anusuya. So actually she already got aid and advice from this Council of Ministers that you have to conduct the session on August 21st. But what happened here, issue is governor did not issue any notification regarding the summoning of the house. So because of this, now there is delay in the summoning of the session in Manipur. So this is the issue. Okay, so why governor, she didn't issue any notification? Because of political and law and order problem in Manipur. And even there is an issue that legislators who are belonging to this Kuki community, so they have some expressions that they are expressing that they are unable to attend the assembly because of violations against them from this Meiteis. Okay, so because of this, the session which had been delayed in Manipur. And here you have to see the constitutional provisions. And here especially you have to see one important Supreme Court judgment, that is Namban Rabia versus Deputy Speaker case of 2016. So you have to remember this case for sure. So please make a note of this. Okay, so please make a note of this. That is Namban Rabia versus Deputy Speaker 2016 case. So in this case, Supreme Court said that governor is bound to convene a meeting of assembly for a floor test on the recommendations of the cabinet. So there are two important highlights of this judgment. The first one is governor should be bound on the recommendations of the cabinet, and next one is governor can summon, prorogue and dissolve the house only. So here you can see this keyword, that is only. So there should be no personal discretion of governor, but governor only on the aid and advice. Governor only on the aid and advice of Council of Minister, he can summon the session, or he can prorogue and he can dissolve the session, but it should not be done on his own. So these are the two important things which are said by Supreme Court in Namban Rabia versus Deputy Speaker case of 2016. And you have to remember this, and it is at most important. So whenever you are writing anything, so try to give the authenticated information. So especially in these polity questions, you can give articles, you can give Supreme Court judgments, you can give acts. Okay, that you can collect from the current affairs. So it is one such case that should be there in your mind regarding the aid and advice of Council of Ministers to the governor of the state. Is it clear so far? Are you following? Are you getting bored? No, right? Yeah. If you see, one more important problem here is, last session in Manipur was conducted in month of March, and by the September 2nd, so 6 months it is going to be ended. So in our constitution there is one provision that session should be conducted within 6 months of time. That means if the session which is not conducted by September 2nd means it is a constitutional breakdown. It is a constitutional breakdown. So this will be one important issue. And another important issue here is unusual delay in the appointment of Chief Justice of Manipur. So Manipur High Court. So these are some important problems that are faced by this Manipur. Okay, so this is about this article, and next one it is about Brics. So let us see what are the highlights of this article. So we are going to have this Brics summit that is going to be started from today. Okay, that is from August 22nd to August 24th. So which are the countries, which are the part of the Brics? That is Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. So actually many countries now want to join this Brics. Okay, so there are 40 odd countries. They want to formally or informally express their interest that they want to get the membership of Brics. So now let us see which are those countries, right? So 1 minute. Yeah, if you see this image, you can see Brics plus add scale. So already you know that. Here which are the countries part of this Brics. Here we have India, here we have Brazil, and here we have South Africa, right, Russia. So these are the part of this Brics already, China, right. So but some other nations are showing interest, like here Eurasian Economic Union, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, Asian China Free Trade, MECOSUR, and South African Customs Union. So especially these countries which are showing some interest to join this regional organization. Okay, so that thing that you have to remember. And if you come back here, so what are the dilemmas that are present with India? So these are called as New Delhi dilemmas. So as you all know that on one side we have Russia, which is supported by China, and second one is USA. Whether we have to move towards this west or whether we have to move towards this global south. So this is a big dilemma that is present before India. So that is the thing which is said by author here also. So here on one other side, if you see here, Russia-Ukraine war is happening. So this Ukraine which is getting support from United States, but India which is having the support to Russia. Okay, it is not supporting like providing arms etc., but we are getting some help from Russia. For example, we are getting technology. Especially we are getting defense technology. We are getting oil at a very discounted price. And Russia is supporting India for the membership of United Nations Security Council permanent membership. So for all these things, India getting support from Russia, and I can say Russia is all-weather friend for India. Russia is all-weather friend. So here author says that India belongs to the global geopolitical landscape or not, because India is part of global south. Now the new concept called as global south came into emergence, correct? So India is a part of that global south, but in this part of global south, USA is not part. So because of this, whether India is aligned towards this global south or aligned towards USA, it is a big question now. So if you move forward, here author says that how can India be the part of Quad? So Quad, it is a grouping of 4 countries. They include Australia, Japan, US and India. So which are the 4 countries part of this Quad? Australia, India, Japan and USA. And even in this G20 also India is part, and India is enjoying presidencyship now. India is the president of this G20 summit for the next 1 year, and even in G7 and Brics, in Shanghai Cooperation Organization and Global South at the same time. So how India is going to be part of all these organizations at the same time? Because some are dominated by Western powers, some are dominated by Global South. So it is deeply historical view that India's active participation in non-Western multilateral forums like Brics, SCO, Global South must be seen as India's response to undemocratic and inequitable governance structure of post-Second World War institutions. So author says that yes, how India is going to be the part of both like organizations which are dominated by Western countries and the organization which are dominated by the global south. Okay, so this is the thing which said by the author. And if you're talking about the presence of China, yes, China's overwhelming presence which makes less than perfect geopolitical choice for India. Especially in some groupings, even China is also the member, right? And with this China, always we are having some issues for regarding trade. So trade always positive, okay, for the China. That is, China will be enjoying trade surplus. And India is facing trade deficit always with China. And even regarding the border, we are facing issue. And even there is increased aggressiveness of China in both maritime and continental sphere. So these are some issues. And to counter this China's BRI, India came up with this fish hook mechanism, right? So all these things that you have to remember. So that's it. And India, which is present on the fault line, right, between this Western countries dominated organizations and as well as this global south. So it is very, very hard for the India to balance this fault line. So this is the idea of this article. And now let us move back to Hindu newspaper again. Here in this opinion page, there is one article, it is regarding president's speech. So if you are interested, you can go through that once. And if you read this, you can get at least 3 to 4 points to write a good answer. And even you can include that points in your essay. And if you move forward, here you can see this article that is about the superpower of OTT platforms. Actually, this article which is talking about state of elementary education in rural India report. So recently, Ministry of Education Ministry of Education released this report, that is State of Elementary Education in Rural India report. So you can get a question like, recently State of Elementary Education Rural India report is in news. So which organization released that report? So this is commonly asked question in your UPSC prelims. So it is Ministry of Education. So now let us see the detailed analysis of this topic. What does this report talks about? So what are the highlights of this report? Actually, this report which talked about smartphone usage among the students. So why students they came across increased use of this smartphones because of this COVID-19 pandemic. So because of this COVID-19 pandemic, because of this shutdown, nationwide shutdown, and even colleges, schools, shops, malls, everything had been shut down, right? So at that time, we came up with increased use of our digital platforms. And many schools, many colleges, they went for teaching classes on online. So because of that, there is increased demand for the smartphones, laptops, tablets happened. So this article which is talking about smartphone usage. So this report which is based on survey. And who conducted this survey? So this survey is conducted by Development Intelligence Unit, and it came up with collaboration with NGO. Okay, NGO Transform Rural India and Sambodhi Research and Communications. So there is no need of remembering this at all. Just for your knowledge, I said about that. And if you're talking about the key findings, the first one is they made a note on smartphone usage and entertainment. So how many students they took smartphone for the education purpose, and how many of them are really using that for that purpose, and how many of them are using it for entertainment. So about 49.3% they have the access to the smartphones. Yes, they are lucky people, right? So they have the access to the smartphones. But out of this here, 76.7% of the parents, you are saying that so their children using the smartphones for playing video games. That means your students, they are preferring entertainment over education. So this is the one important thing. And next one is about about 56.6% of students, they are using the smartphones to download and to watch movies. See the tragedy here. They are not only playing the games, but even they are using them for downloading and watch the movies, and even to listen music, for the watching and downloading of movies and music. And 34% of the students, they are using only for downloading the study related content. So we have to search for this 34% of students, where they are. So whether you are part of the 34% student, or this 49% student, or this 56% of students. So please let me know honestly in the comment box. So which category that you are belonging to. So whether you are 34% student or not. And the second important thing which is given in this highlights is access based on the class. So the smartphone across access varies across the different class levels. Especially the students who are belonging to the class 8 and above, they have greater access to smartphones. But the children who are less class, that is below this 8th class, they are not having the smartphones. That means, yes, children who are having the higher education level, they are having the greater access to the smartphones. And that means nothing but the smartphone usage for entertainment is prevalent across the age groups. That means children who are studying this 8th class and above, they have the lot of access to the entertainment than compared to that of children who are between the 1st class to 8th class. That is the insights. And the third important one here is the reasons for the drawbacks, or we can say dropouts of the school. So here about 36.8% of the girls, they had been dropped out. That means they are not going to school. Why? Because they have to contribute to their family. They have to support financially for their family. And not only that, here 31.6% they attributed the dropouts because children, they have lack of interest in studies. So if they are not having interest, why their parents, they will force them to go, right? So about 31.6% of students, they do not have interest in the studies. So this is about the girls. And what about the boys? Yes, boys also dropout is seen because they have to contribute to the family earnings. And many of them, there is lack of interest. Okay. So the both girls and boys, yes, there is lack of interest, and even they have to contribute to the family earnings. So what are the recommendations given? The first and the foremost thing here is, yes, government need to take some support, give some efforts, or take some efforts, and government need to come up with targeted efforts. That means the people who need exactly, so those people need to be targeted, and government need to provide some support so that government can decrease the dropouts, especially the children who are having the interest to study, but they have to contribute to their financial earnings of that family means. So government can provide scholarship for that students, so that here parents, they will be willing to send their children to the school, such that we can also increase the literacy rate and gross enrollment ratio. Okay. And even we have to promote a balanced use of smartphones for both entertainment and learning purpose. And we have to enhance the environment, like we have to create study environment in the homes also, so that we can support our children for the improving of interest in the studies. So these are some key highlights of this report. Okay, and now let us go back to Hindu newspaper PDF. So in this text and context, here you can see this article. It is about the superpower of OTT platforms. So this article is important. Okay, so I discussed, right? And if you move on, here in this text and context, you can see on smartphone manufacturing in India. So here you have to see about manufacturing of smartphones. So here you have to understand what are the measures taken by Government of India to increase manufacturing. So what are the steps taken by the Government of India that you have to know. So I will be showing you that with a logic here. So there is a small logic. So there is a very small logic here. So try to understand that logic. Yeah, here you can see that article. So your context says that around 5 years ago, Government of India decided that it wanted more companies to make things in India. That means we can connect this statement with one scheme called as Make in India. So Government of India came up with this scheme called as Make in India, and government want to increase the manufacturing units in India. So here we are talking about exactly the manufacturing of the smartphones. So if you move forward, you can see to increase the manufacturing, government also came up with providing some incentive in the form of support. Support is given by the government, and that support is through PLI scheme. So what is this PLI scheme? That is Production Linked Incentive Scheme. So Production Linked Incentive Scheme is nothing but, so government asks that so and so company to increase the production. So whenever there is increasing of production, you will be getting incentives from the government. So this is this scheme called as Production Linked Incentive Scheme. So under this here, government will be giving money for domestic and as well as foreign companies for the manufacturing of goods in our country. So actually why we are focusing on manufacturing? So if we are talking about different sectors of economy, so we have primary sector which is dealing with agriculture, and we have secondary sector, that is manufacturing, and the third sector is tertiary sector. So normally if any country want to become developed country or they want to see the development, they will be moving from primary sector. They will be moving from primary sector to secondary sector, and from secondary sector to tertiary sector. So what is the fate of India? So always India will be doing something new, right? So we move directly from agriculture towards tertiary sector. So we are doing very good, excellent in tertiary sector, but in manufacturing sector we are zero. We are not performing well in this manufacturing sector for sure. So this thing understood by Indian government, and now government is coming up with this PLI schemes in the different sector and extending this PLI scheme in the different sector, especially to boost manufacturing sector in India. So one thing I want to say is why China is most developed now, because it focused on manufacturing sector. So almost all the countries, they depend upon this China for their goods, correct? So China is occupying most of the international markets because of it is doing excel in this manufacturing sector. It does not focus on this tertiary sector. But India, we focused on tertiary sector but not manufacturing. And now we are focusing on this manufacturing sector. So if you move forward, here this article says that, so the industry that has shown the most enthusiasm for this PLI scheme is smartphone manufacturing. So because of this incentives which is provided by the government, now there is increased manufacturing of smartphones, and the smartphones exports had been increased. So whenever there is increased production, that will automatically leads to increasing of our exports. So exports had been increased from $300 million in 2018 to 11 billion in 2023, and you can understand. So now India had become self-sufficient in manufacturing of these smartphones, and even we are in a position to export to other countries. So export value is now $11 billion in 2023. So you can't underestimate the power of Indians, right? So Indians are very proud now if you see this. And if you move on here, what is this PLI scheme? So around 5 years ago, Government of India wanted to increase the manufacturing. That is, we came up with this Make in India scheme, MII, right? So here, government understood that manufacturing, it is one of the important sector that we have to focus when we want to see the development or economic growth. And finally, government came up with this PLI scheme, and government started providing some incentives or support to the companies which are focusing on this manufacturing sector. and finally we are going to have this positive cascading effect. So how this positive cascading effect is seen? So if there is boost in manufacturing, then what happens? For example, this so and so company which is producing, for example, 10 mobile phones. To produce this 10 mobile phones, it requires, for example, 5 members. But now government is providing support to this manufacturing company, and now it increased its base to manufacture 100 mobiles. To manufacture these 100 mobiles, now the same company will need 20 members. That means it is increasing the employment opportunities. So whenever there is boost in manufacturing sector, so that will increase employment opportunities, that will increase the standard of living of people, and that will lead to overall growth and development of the country itself. So this scheme is very important, that is production linked incentive scheme. And what are the problems which are faced by this manufacturing sector? Yes, government is providing incentives, very good. But on another side, yes, we are also having some constraints. So what are the labor laws which are present in India? They are very much erratic in nature. So the labor laws are very complex. And what are the workforce is present? They are not skilled workforce. But for manufacturing of these mobile phones, we need skilled labor force. We need skilled labor force, but that is absent in India. So it is also one constraint. And next one is many industries, they are also not able to set up their industries in India because of some other constraint like legal constraints, or for example clearances, etc. So these are some important problems that are seen. And to solve this problem, actually government came up with carrot and stick method. Carrot means support, stick means punishment. So here carrot and stick approach. So stick is nothing but they started raising import duties. So here rather than manufacturing in India, so actually what happened, companies they started importing the mobile phones from other countries. So because of this, now government started imposing lot of import duty. So whenever the import duty is high, means overall product cost will be high. So rather than bringing that mobile from other country, so if you are preparing or if you are manufacturing in India, the cost will be less. So this is the stick. On another side, what is a carrot? Carrot is providing subsidies and incentives for the company. So now here recently RBI governor, he said that now what is this manufacturing companies are doing, like they are not importing entire mobile phone, but they are importing the spare parts. Okay, they are importing the spare parts. So this is also one cause of concern now. So this is the thing that may be said by our former RBI governor. Okay, so this is about this topic. And now let us move back to Hindu paper PDF. And next topic it is about what are the concerns about drilling in this North Sea. So this is very important. First of all, we have to see the map of North Sea. Yes, this is North Sea. I hope you can see, right? So this is North Sea. And which are the countries sharing boundary here? Here we have Britain, here we have France, Belgium is there, Netherlands, Germany, Denmark, here Sweden, and here Norway. So these are the countries which are sharing the boundary. And here we have this English Channel, Strait of Dover, and here you can see German Bight. So I want to give you one homework. So what is the difference between bay and bight? So there is a very small difference between bay and bight. So please let me know. And here you can see some important like Norwegian trench. So what is the meaning of trench? Right? And here what is the meaning of channel? So English channel is there, no? So what is the meaning of channel? So here you can see bight, bight. Okay. So please let me know what is the meaning of bight and what is the strait. So what is strait, what is channel, what is trench, what is bay and bight. So please let me know meanings for these words. So actually I am thinking that I have to come up with a separate video regarding the explanation of this terminology in geography. So in geography you have a lot of terminology like bays, islets, bights, okay, what is island, so what is peninsula. So there are small words out there. So I thought that I have to come up with a separate video. So I will be coming up with that video soon, okay, with examples. So here you have to understand what are the important impacts of the drilling in North Sea. So first of all, as I said, you have to know one important convention, that is 1958 Geneva Convention. So this Geneva Convention is important when you are writing your answers, and as well as in your prelims also you can get a question regarding this Geneva Convention. So now let us see the analysis part. Yes, this is that article. So why it is in use? Because recently UK Prime Minister is nothing but Rishi Sunak. He backed some plans for new fossil fuel drilling. So he want to go for drilling on this Britain's coast. So where is it, Britain's coast? Where is it, Britain's coast? So this is Britain, no? So here in this coast, here he wants to go for drilling. So he wants to go for drilling in this coast. Actually, because of that idea, so many of these environmentalist activists are saying that yes, there will be a lot of issues. There will be a lot of issues, and those climatic issues will be irreversible in nature. So we should not go for drilling in this North Sea. So this is the idea of number of environmental activists. And here if you see geographically, which are the countries sharing boundary with this North Sea? So we have Netherlands, Belgium, France, Norway, Denmark and Germany, England and Scotland. So these are the countries which are sharing boundary with this North Sea, and you may get a question regarding this countries which are sharing boundary with the North Sea. Okay, don't forget about these countries. You have to remember this. And one more thing here you have to see is 1958 Geneva Convention, which says that. So we have one convention which talks about this drilling, that is 1958 Geneva Convention. So it says that continental shelf, the first international legislation we came up regarding the rights of countries to go for drilling in the continental shelves. Especially it is regarding the exploration in the North Sea. And what is this offshore drilling problem? So what are the problems that we are going to have? So according to US based advocacy group, which says that when we are going for this drilling, so it will be having impacts on workers, waters and wildlife. So all these are put at a risk when we are going for this drilling. So drilling in seas and oceans for fossil fuels, so they will aggravate the threat of climate change, and they will also increase the warming of oceans. That will lead to warming, okay, and not only this warming, even that will leads to increasing of sea levels. Because of this warming, what happened, especially in this temperate regions and in this polar regions, so what happened, because of increasing of warming, there will be the melting of glaciers. So because of this melting, what happened, that will lead to increasing of rise of sea level. And next one is offshore drilling is associated with direct risk to marine biodiversity, which is also having the risk, and it is because of acidic waters. So because of acidic waters, it is also having negative impact on the corals also, okay, and it also leads to the increasing of pollution in the oceans. Okay, so this is about this topic. And now let us move back to our Hindu newspaper PDF. So I discussed this topic, right? And this topic is not at all important. Okay, this topic is not at all important, and you can move forward. And this news page also, you can see some important articles like, so you have to understand what is this Naga Council. What is this Naga Council, you have to remember. And next one is, Baghel opposes bastard steel plant privatization, links it to tribal emotions. So whenever we are coming up with any developmental projects or any mining projects, so they will be going to impact this community, that is tribal people. So tribal people, they will be impacted a lot. So you have to see what might be the possible solutions, okay, to save this tribal people. So you have to think, and please let me know in the comment box. And if you move forward, so most of the articles in our today's newspaper are political articles. Here you have to know what is the meaning of landslip, that's it. So already number of times I explained this, and here you can see this is the one example of landslip. So there is a falling down of soil and rocks that are seen, and here you can see some inhabitations are there. So because of this landslips, the roads will be got blocked here, and that will be also leading to the difficulty of life for the people who are living in this area. And here you can see activists seek a dialogue on controlled human infection trials. So already I discussed about what is this CHIS in detail, because this topic is at most important, and you know that there are a number of diseases which are spread from one person to another person because of microorganisms like bacteria, virus, and parasites, etc. Right? So here you have to need to have a data regarding the people who are affected by which type of organism, so which type of disease are prevalent, so that we can focus on the preventive medicine. Okay, we can focus on preventive medicine. Okay, so this is about this topic. And if you move forward in the world page, there is nothing much important. So here you can link this article, that is Ecuadorians reject oil drilling in Amazon in historic decision. So here you have to see Amazon basin. So this Amazon, where it is present, this Amazon forest, where it is present, and in which countries, it is present, and please let me know. So Amazon basin is present in how many countries and the names of those countries. So this will be important. And the business page you can see this article. So this article, it is about India ASEAN agree to review good trade pact by 2025. So here you have to focus on this grouping called as ASEAN. Right, and you have to see which are the members of this grouping. Normally we have 10 members. So which are those 10 member states of this ASEAN? So please let me know. Okay. And if you move forward, that's it. So these are the important articles that appear in our today's Hindu newspaper. So I hope you enjoyed this lecture. So if you have any suggestions, so please give your suggestions in the comment box. And if you are watching Rathod's IAS for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to Rathod's IAS. So if you like the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to share this video to your friends. So by this I am concluding. Thank you so much, and we are going to meet in the next session. Until then, stay tuned to Rathod's IAS.